For the vast majority of people, their height is nothing unusual. However, if you are particularly large or small, you could be diagnosed with either dwarfism or gigantism. But the concept of being diagnosed with both over the course of your life is almost unthinkable. Almost? As is the case with many conditions in the medical world, there are exceptions, and a man named Adam Rayner is the only man in history to have ever lived as both a dwarf and a giant. So what exactly happened to him? And how was it even biologically possible to be both? Growing up, Rayner was particularly small, and this was a problem for him when he tried to enlist for service in World War I but was refused entry to the army on the grounds that he simply wasn't tall enough to fight. At the time, he was just 4 foot 4 inches tall. Anyone who measures below 4 feet 10 inches is classified as a dwarf. Most people stop growing when they are in their late teens, so when Rayner was denied entry to the army at the age of 18, he probably assumed that he was destined to live his life as a dwarf. Then the unthinkable happened, causing him to become a giant by the time he was 30. When he was 19, Rayner measured 4 feet and 9 inches tall. While this was a slight improvement, he was still essentially a dwarf. However, the first hint that something unusual was going on came in the disproportionate size of his feet, which grew suddenly from a US size 10 to a 20. While Rayner's increase in size between 18 and 19 could be attributed to a late growth spurt, the majority of people have completely finished growing by the time they are 21. But that wasn't the case for Rayner. His height finally began to increase when he was 21. This probably came as a huge relief to a man whose small size had previously held him back, but by the time he was 30, he had grown to the gigantic size of 7 foot 1 inch. Rayner was eventually diagnosed with a condition known as acromegaly in 1930. It is characterized by the excessive amount of growth hormones which can result in facial deformation, something which he eventually suffered from. However, these are not the only symptoms of acromegaly. Those afflicted with the condition can also experience excessive sweating, headaches, vision problems and physical discomfort. So what exactly causes acromegaly? It's the result of a tumor in the pituitary gland, which is where growth hormones are produced. While Rayner's tumor was eventually removed by doctors, it only stunted his growth, and it did not stop it completely. As a result, he developed even more health ailments, which tragically left him bedbound towards the end of his life. This was caused by the excessive curvature of Rayner's spine. It got so bad that it was almost impossible for him to stand up. He finally died after years of severe discomfort at the age of 51 in 1950. At this point, Rayner measured an extraordinary 7 feet and 8 inches tall. His feet measured a staggering 13.1 inches and his handspan was 9.8 inches. To this day, he remains the only man in history to live with both dwarfism and gigantism.